Okay, my basic worldview is that there is no higher power. Um, and basically that's just how I live. There is no higher power, and we're just the reason why we're here is because we don't know exactly why, but basically the Big Bang Theory, quote unquote, is probably the most simple way to put that. Even though I don't really believe in the Big Bang Theory, to be honest, but
If you
I'm
don't
going off
know,
on a
you
tangent.
don't know what the if you don't know what the origin point is for existence, how did you rule out that there's a personal absolute creator God?
Because that makes the least sense out of all of the different things that make
That
sense.
doesn't rule it
There's
out.
also I also believe like, you're assuming a lot of things about me from this. I also believe that we could all be living in a simulation, no joke. That we could all be in a computer program right now and have no idea. And I honestly think that that is highly more likely than a god with magic created
Okay. Well,
the
here's the
earth.
problem. Here's the problem. Um, there's no middle ground when it comes to a personal absolute creator God. You either have to affirm that that is the origin point, or you have to deny it. Maintaining a position of agnosticism
I'm not
actually is
agnostic.
okay. So
I'm agnostic. I'll fight that fight.
so you deny that there's a personal absolute creator God, and I'd like to know how you arrived at that position.
Because it makes the least amount of sense. It's like the whole spaghetti monster thing. Atheists have made this funny, creative
The
that.
fact that
No,
it
let me
doesn't make
finish.
sense.
Wait, could I cut in right here? Is I actually disagree with that point. I think like some fucking kid playing with his toys, just making up like random like the idea that God is like an actual being is way more believable than this all is just random and makes no sense.
Okay.
Like at
Well,
least there's
Okay,
some
to
like
you, but to me it doesn't. Sorry,
okay.
like
because
Well, I'm
no, but
gonna
like think
be.
about like creating video games. Like we create things. Like we're creative beings, so it's not that hard to believe that somebody could have created us
All right.
too.
So,
But
Pastor, I'm just
okay,
gonna be
but the
very
thing is, yeah,
blunt. I'm
you're
gonna.
right. We're creative. Wait, let me address what he said. We're creative beings. That's why I think it's more likely that we are a part of a simulation, that we're in a time frame that we don't understand, and that technology has advanced so much that they're able to create conscious beings to study them. That's what there's
All right.
lots of different possibilities, but I believe that humans at a time, or aliens,
All right.
are curious about life, so they created a simulation to study us, and we're conscious. I think that's more likely
Okay.
than a god, because yeah, humans
All
are
right.
interested, they're curious, and
Ancient
Well, here's
alien.
the problem. Here's the problem with that view. Okay. Um, you when you talk about God's existence being likely, you're getting into the territory of classically what we call agnosticism. All right.
okay.
And you're saying, well, I don't affirm God's existence and I don't affirm his non-existence, but I think it's more
Oh
likely.
no,
Well,
I affirm
all right,
his
can
non.
I finish, please?
No,
Because this is a
but you're saying
this
something
is a
that is
subject
not.
matter. Yeah, can I
I'm
finish, please?
Yeah,
This
but
is a
you said
subject
something
matter
that
that I have a bit of.
you're.
This is a
Yes.
subject matter that I have a bit of expertise in.
Okay, but
okay,
before
but
you go
yeah,
on, I'm going to address something that you said that is incorrect. I affirm that there is no God because it's not very
Okay.
likely. There is no
Okay.
Could you
higher
wait
All
until
power.
right.
he's
No, no.
finished?
Okay. Listen to me. That is a foolish statement that you just made. Okay.
Okay.
Because first of all, the existence of God itself is not probabilistic. It's not a contingency. God is defined as that which is absolute and unconditionally non-dependent and provides for all dependency states. Now, if you choose not to believe in God, then what you would believe in is that there is something else that is absolute and provides for all dependency states. And you see, either one of these are not probabilistic. They're not contingency states. That which is absolute, whether it's a personal absolute as a creator God or an impersonal absolute, its existence would be non-dependent and therefore non-probabilistic.
Well, but
You're going to
in a
have.
lot of circles,
I'm,
and
I'm, I'm not
I
done yet. I'm not done yet.
Okay.
So what I'm saying to you is, if you're going to either affirm the existence of God or deny the existence of God, appealing to a probabilistic assessment is a fail. You're going to have to tell us why you either affirm or deny, and appealing to probability doesn't work.
What?
That's actually wrong.
Okay, well,
That's,
I can assess and give you the reasons why I find it more or less likely. I don't think that makes it not true, because there's a lot of
All
things
right.
that you can go ahead and speculate made the universe or made you conscious. There's a lot of ideas that we can come up with. But when it comes to science, like, but also what I'm reading this as is, if you don't believe in God, then you need to believe in something else, and it has to be, you know, something that's concrete, and we need to be able to compare it. That's not how science works. Like, that's
You're not understanding this issue at all. Okay.
Yeah,
when it comes to the concept, please. Okay. I'm very experienced in dealing with people from her perspective. Okay. I don't need your help. So, Pastor, when we talk about God,
my name is Pastoor. Sorry, I don't like being called
pastors. Okay, pastors. When we talk about the concept of God or not God, you need to understand it definitionally. All right. So, God would be defined as that which is absolute and unconditionally non-dependent, right? That provides for all dependency states and possesses the property of personhood. Now, if you reject that, you will still believe that there's something absolute, but it will be non-personal or impersonal. Okay? So when you say that God is less likely and that not God is more likely, you're going to have to explain one thing, right? And if you don't explain what I'm about to ask you, your reasoning fails. Now the question is...
Before you ask me the question, I want to make sure that I want to see if I'm on the same page as you. So I think what you're saying is, since I'm saying God, because I'm still getting this, that if God isn't real, then I have to have something else absolute that's not personal that I believe in.
Yeah, either you believe that there's a personal absolute, or you believe that there's an impersonal absolute. Right? There's no escaping this. It's unavoidable. Now, so we're not confused.
That's why I'm asking you.
All right. So when we talk about God at this particular juncture,
you know, if you want to make sure that I'm getting what you're saying, you should probably let me ask you questions instead of just keep talking. But go ahead.
Right. When we talk about God,
I'm just checking in to let you know it's been 20 minutes and you still haven't answered my question, but it's all good.
Okay.
Let him flirt with her, dude.
So when we talk about God, all right, at this particular point in the conversation, we're defining God in a certain way, all right? And I'm going to assume that you're going to accept the definition unless you tell me you don't, okay? And the definition is God is that which is absolute, unconditionally non-dependent, and provides for all dependency states, okay?
Yes.
So do you accept the definition?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you say God, the personal absolute, is less likely than the impersonal absolute, you're going to have to explain why the attribute and property of personhood attributed to the absolute is less likely, rather than non-personhood is more likely for the absolute.
So I keep asking you questions to clarify, and you keep repeating the same thing to me over and over again. So yes, you said this to me like 3 times now. Are you saying that if I say there can't be a God, there has to be something else that I can point to and say this is the origin of our universe, or my argument is
you will have to.
Okay, my argument back to you is, that's all nice, fine, and dandy, that if you want to believe in God and it's an absolute thing, and I absolutely know what this God wants because he wrote it all down for me and I can interpret it. And
that's not my question.
Yeah, no, but I'm just addressing it. That's how you perceive it. But
can you repeat back to me my question that I asked you?
She was asking you a question, motherfucker. What?
Like, this is like, oh my God. So I'm just
professional filibuster.
I'm pretty sure I understand it better than you do.
Okay, so do you want me to repeat the question?
No, I do not. You've said it to me 3 times. I understand.
Okay. Right.
I probably can't repeat it word.
Right.
I can't repeat it word for word, but I know what you asked me. And my answer to your question is an explanation of how science works. So So you want me to point out
That's not addressing.
something?
That's not addressing my question.
Well, if you let me explain
My
science
has nothing to do. Science has nothing to do with my question.
Just give me that in your opinion, but not in the way that I see this question. And I understand perfectly well.
Whatever the absolute.
No, I don't want to listen to you anymore. You're just going to repeat the same thing.
Whatever the absolute is.
Oh my god.
Whatever the absolute is, whether it's personal or impersonal, it would be beyond the capability of science to deal with. Okay.
Yeah.
Science cannot even establish its foundational presuppositions. Okay.
What do you mean by that?
Well, science has a number of presuppositions that it must adopt because it cannot use empirical endeavors or even reasoning to justify these presuppositions, because empirical endeavors and reasoning would employ these presuppositions. So science may be a good way. I'm
not sure what you're telling me, so I'm asking you questions.
Your presuppositions would be your presuppositions would be your most foundational belief states from which all other beliefs emanate from.
Okay, but that's not how science works.
What the fuck are we even talking about?
It's presupposed, right? It's presupposed.
That you're throwing at all of us is just like a circle of kind of nonsense.
Okay,
I get what you're saying.
I'm still.
Can I interject here, because I think I can explain this?
You still haven't addressed my question. Okay, I asked you, why is the addition of the attribute of personhood to the absolute less likely than non-personhood? Can you explain that?
So you're asking me why I don't believe that a single person with magic can make.
No, I didn't. I didn't say anything about the capabilities. No, I'm talking about the attribute of personhood. So each one of us. Listen. If you listened a little bit more, the conversation would go a little bit better. Okay.
Go on.
Now, each one of us, you, me, and everyone in the room, believes that there's something that's absolute, either consciously or unconsciously. Right, it's inescapable.
Is that necessary?
Right, now, either the absolute in your mind or my mind possesses the property of non-personhood, or it possesses the property of personhood. Now, you have said that God, the personal absolute, is less likely than the non-personal absolute. So what I want to know from you is, why is the addition or the subtraction of a property less likely? How is personhood added to the absolute less likely?
What do you mean by the absolute? I think that's probably where I'm getting lost. Like,
the absolute is the origin point of why anything exists at all. It's unconditionally non-dependent. You're asking me to explain it to you.
Yeah,
I can't explain it to you in a soundbite.
Yes, you can. Like, I think I pretty much.
You need to show a little bit more self-control and let me finish.
Okay, but you take literally 5 minutes to finish one.
Yeah, you kind of filibuster a little bit.
Yeah, hey, Frank.
I'm not going to.
I'll just give you Frank. Listen to me. If you want to be obnoxious, obnoxious with me, I'll just put a note down in your account not to talk with you again. Okay?
How am I being obnoxious?
Darth, I'd like you. So I'd like you to.
All right.
Darth.
Okay, I just would
Pastor,
I just want to hear.
Why? Here's the question. Why is the addition of
yes, you've said this question like 10 times.
Absolute,
I don't hear it again, please. I have a question.
And with attitudes like this is why a lot of young men want to stay away from marriage.
You think I want to get married?
He just pulled the "you're on your period" card. Oh no.
Okay, can I ask you a
question? Why is
yes, you've said this like 10
added to the attribute? Well, good. Then answer the question.
I have a question for you, though, because I need to know what you're talking about first.
I'm waiting for it. Okay, go ahead.
If I don't know what you're talking about, if you keep repeating the same question to me over and over again, it's not going to do any good. So let me ask a question so we can qualify something. Well, I know. But the thing is, I keep trying to answer him, and he keeps slipping around me. So I need to pin him down. This is what I'm doing. What does the absolute mean? So if I say I don't believe in God, I
tried to answer that.
Okay, well,
I tried to explain that to you a few minutes ago,
Okay,
and
so
you
answer
immediately
it.
started over talking me.
and I have a second part of that
Okay,
question.
now are you gonna be
I have a
quiet
second
and
part of
listen
that
to the
question.
answer?
I
Okay,
have
the
a second.
absolute.
Oh my god. I have a second
Yeah,
part of the question. Can I finish?
are you clueless at how impulsive you are?
No, dude, I have ADHD. So no, I'm
Yeah,
not.
another fake disease.
Imagine
Okay, I don't
joining a
even
fucking
Holy shit, the
politics server and
Christianity
expecting
I
to
don't want
like.
to get into
is
that because
wrong
it's a
with
whole
you?
nother subject. But okay,
Yeah.
so if I say I don't believe in God, I believe in the Big Bang Theory, would that be an example of what you mean by an absolute?
No, because the Big Bang itself could not be characterized as the absolute because the Big Bang began. Anything that begins to exist is a dependency state and therefore, by definition, could not be an absolute.
All right, well then I don't agree with you
In
that
our
there needs to
universe.
be a second absolute because
Okay, so why is the inclusion or non-inclusion of the property of personhood for the absolute? Why is the inclusion of personhood not likely? And the problem with that, when you answer that, is the property of personhood would not be what we would call in philosophy an accidental property. It would be an essential or an intrinsic property. So the personhood or non-personhood attribute would exist necessarily. So you're going to have, since that property, its inclusion or exclusion would be necessarily be or not be there, you're going to have to explain, in your view, epistemically why it's not likely.
okay. Let me give me a second to digest that because it's very long and convoluted. But
No, it wasn't convoluted. It was very
Yeah, it
clear
was.
and methodical.
Okay, should
you
I
might
try and
think that.
explain it, Pastor? Um,
Sure, yes, please, because I'm lost.
okay. Something is absolute. That might be a god. That might be just the baseline of the universe.
Scale, I
Something.
don't
There
need
is an
your
absolute.
help. I don't
I
need
do
your help.
know, I
But she
do.
does.
I asked
Go ahead,
him, okay?
Pastor.
Yeah, yes.
All right, well, then I'm not going to listen.
she
You're
needs
talking with me, okay? I'm the
Yeah,
one
but I don't know.
who,
I don't
okay.
even know what
The
you're
fuck?
talking about. An
All right,
absolute.
yeah, listen.
If
listen.
she's saying that you're
Obviously-
incapable of answering her question in a way that she can
Obviously-
understand and somebody
okay, all
else
right,
is trying
Frank,
to make her understand
okay,
it,
Frank,
then you're a fucking idiot. You should let them.
Frank,
Yeah, see, you talk over me and you're going to scream about me talking over you. Shut the fuck up.
Congratulations. You have now achieved what only a relatively few people have done. You have now achieved membership in my troll list. I will not talk with you again on this account.
Dude, it took me 2 minutes to get onto your troll list. Calm down.
Does he have like fucking autism or something? What the fuck? Am I
Hey,
getting
that's
trolled?
not.
You guys-
That's rude. Don't say stuff.
No,
like
it was
that.
a literal question.
It pastors. So there's skip past a couple of parts there. When you make a positive assertion, you have to have a reason why you're able to make that positive assertion. So if you say
Yeah,
that there isn't
that's a
something
good point.
here, then you have to be able to point to something to justify that position.
Yeah.
That's what
The
he's
property,
kind of skipped over that.
the property,
All right, so
yeah, the
let me
property
kind
of personhood. Listen, the property
Yes,
of
you're gonna
personhood.
repeat the
Listen
same
to me
question
carefully.
over
This is
again.
something that I've studied. I have expertise in. Okay, now the property
I'm
of
an expert.
personhood. The property of personhood would not be a contingency. Therefore, its existence or non-existence would not be probabilistic. So you're going to have to state why the absolute does not
Yes,
possess
repeating the
personhood.
same thing to me
You
for like
cannot
the 10th
listen.
time.
I'm trying to explain this to you.
But you're
Expert
explaining
you say-
like one of my
Wow,
really worst
listen,
professors. When
obviously
I
you-
when I get what
listen,
you're
I'm gonna
saying,
move
you
on
just
to a
repeat
different
it over
room.
and over again. And
Obviously, you
Yes,
didn't
move
take
on.
your meds. Obviously, you didn't take your meds
Expertise,
today.
by the way.
Yeah, more personal
Wow.
attacks because you
So
can't
very
actually
Christian.
make a fucking.
So very
Do you
polite.
really?
He's gone, he's gone, he's gone.
No.
You know who that
He's
was,
gone.
right?
Holy shit.
That was Darth Dawkins. Just Google him. He's quite the character.